G'day everybody, my name is Lowell and welcome to the channel. So we have an interesting video for us today. This one is why Five Guys is terrified of Australia. So I've heard of Five Guys, burger place. So let's jump in and let's have a look at this one, shall we?
Five Guys doesn't usually tiptoe into new markets. They're a kick the door down and stack fries to the ceiling kind of brand.
Oh, wow.
In the US, they're everywhere. In London, they're a lunchtime ritual. In Paris, they're feeding queues that wrap around the block. Once they open in a city, it's rarely long before another store follows, then a few more, and before you know it, they've built a small empire.
Okay.
So when they came to Australia, most people expected more of the same. But this time, something was different. Everything slowed down. There wasn't a massive rollout or a fast-tracked expansion plan. No marketing blitz, no influencer stuff.
They make their own potatoes. Okay, I like that already. Okay.
Launch events, no neon-lit selfies of double-stacked burgers flooding your feed. Instead, it started quietly, with one store, then a second, and slowly a third. The locations were scattered, the messaging minimal, and compared to the way global chains usually enter the Aussie market, Five Guys was almost whisper quiet.
Yeah.
The very first store opened in Penrith back in 2021.
Oh, in Sydney? Okay.
They chose a suburban city about an hour west of Sydney that's best known for rugby league, mega malls, and Bunnings sausage sizzles. To some, it looked like an odd choice, but it was anything but random. Their rollout has been so slow and deliberate, it might make you wonder if something went wrong behind the scenes. But the reality is the opposite. It's not a failure or a flop. It might actually be one of the smartest, most risk-aware fast food launches Australia's seen in years. Because Five Guys is
slowly. Don't disrupt the market. We're just going to do a couple of stores, then we'll do a couple more, then we'll do a couple more, and then before you know it, okay, I see where you're going.
Isn't scared of burgers.
Okay.
They're scared of Australia. Now, that might sound dramatic, but the fear is real and it's justified. Australia might look like easy territory for international food brands. On paper, it checks all the boxes. High disposable income, English-speaking, Western culture, a love for casual dining. But dig a little deeper and you realize this place is a minefield. This country has a ruthless food scene. The competition is intense, not just from other global chains, but from local spots that absolutely nail flavor, freshness, and value. Walk out of any office block and you'll find sushi rolls, Lebanese charcoal chicken, gourmet burgers, vegan bowls, and Korean fried chicken that are all made fresh, priced fairly, and served fast. People here expect fresh ingredients, real flavor, and good service. Aussies don't tolerate mediocrity. If your food's average, your staff are rude, or your brand feels fake, we bounce and leave a blunt review on the way out. Plenty of big names have underestimated that. Take Starbucks, for example. When they arrived in the early 2000s, they opened dozens of stores across Sydney and Melbourne and expected to dominate. But they misread the room. Australia already had a strong, deeply rooted cafe culture.
We had some Starbucks here in Brisbane. But yeah, we have great coffee here in Australia. Yeah, most of those stores are all gone now. I think a couple maybe here and there, but very rarely you come across an actual Starbucks.
With locals who knew their flat whites from their long blacks. Burnt espresso and whipped cream didn't cut it. Within a few years, Starbucks was forced to shut most of its stores. Even now, their presence here is quiet, almost cautious. Taco Bell has had a tough time finding its footing in Australia. After an early attempt failed, they pulled out and later returned with a slower rollout. But even with the comeback, the brand never quite took off, and their local operator eventually announced plans to scale back and shut down several locations.
I do have a Taco Bell about 15 minutes away from me. I've never tried it. I've never been there, haven't had the opportunity, but definitely on the list to try. I know obviously people say it's crap and it's not real Mexican and blah, 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 but I just want to try it, you know, so, okay. So I didn't realize they were here before and then came back, Taco Bell. All right.
Wendy's didn't even get off the ground properly before vanishing, and Krispy Kreme, which opened to massive hype and day one queues, ended up closing stores and entering administration before...
I didn't even know. I know you get Krispy Kreme donuts at 7-Eleven servos, gas stations. But I didn't know they actually had actual storefronts. Oh.
Or rebuilding its business from the ground up. It's a market that looks easy but punches hard. And Five Guys saw the knockout list. So instead of charging in, they slowed things down, built a strategy, and started smart. Their Australian launch has been more like a stress-tested pilot than a full-scale invasion. And it all started with a partnership. Rather than going solo, Five Guys teamed up with Seagrass Hospitality, an Aussie company behind brands like Ribs and Burgers and the Meat and Wine Co. These operators know how to serve meat to Australians. They understand local labor laws, food regulations, logistics networks, and customer expectations. Step 1 was about getting that foundation right. Step 2 was then choosing the right place to begin. That's where Penrith came in. It's far from the high rent pressure of the CBD, but it still brings reliable foot traffic and a customer base that's open to American-style comfort food. With more space, easier logistics, and lower startup costs, it gave Five Guys the breathing room to experiment, to test the menu, train staff, perfect service, and learn what Aussie diners really want. Once they'd locked in the basics, they started slowly rolling out more stores, mostly within New South Wales. And a big reason for that careful pace is cost. Running a fast food chain in Australia is expensive. Labor here is among the most expensive in the world, with a minimum wage of $24.95 per hour, and that's before you add penalty rates for weekends and holidays, superannuation, paid leave, and compliance overheads. Misjudge your roster or staffing needs, and you'll be bleeding money before you've served your first burger. Then there's the rent. Prime retail space in cities like Sydney or Melbourne can cost thousands per square meter. And Aussie landlords don't exactly roll out the red carpet. They want long leases and big security deposits. One wrong location can sink you. Add to that the fact that Five Guys refuses to compromise on its food standards, and things get even trickier. Their entire brand is built around a strict food philosophy. No freezers, no microwaves, no shortcuts. Everything is cooked fresh to order. Even the fries follow a specific protocol.
I do like that everything is fresh. I mean, that's a plus in anybody's language, but okay.
Use high-starch, low-sugar potatoes that crisp perfectly in peanut oil. They're sliced in-store, cooked in small batches, and served in those famous paper cups that always seem to overflow. That's easier to pull off in the US. Supply chains are tighter. In Australia, sourcing the right ingredients consistently and delivering them across massive geographic distances without sacrificing quality is a serious logistics challenge. So instead of spreading themselves thin, Five Guys has focused on building regional clusters. Each cluster is built around a single distribution network. Stores are located close enough to share supply routes, cold storage, and training infrastructure. Sydney was the starting point, with Melbourne following close behind and Brisbane likely in their sights. But they're not.
I haven't heard of any Five Guys in Brisbane, so there still must be still in Sydney and Melbourne at this stage.
Expanding into any new city until they know, without a doubt, that the supply chain is tight and the standards can be upheld. And that approach is paying off. Industry insiders say some Five Guys stores in Australia are pulling in weekly sales between $130,000 and $140,000.
Wow.
That's a strong performance for a premium fast casual chain, especially one that isn't relying on heavy promotions or limited time gimmicks to drive traffic. The menu is straightforward: burgers, fries, hot dogs, and milkshakes. No plant-based experiments, no over-the-top deep-fried stunts, and no loyalty apps designed to trap you in a points cycle. Walk into one of their Australian locations and the setup is familiar. An open kitchen, a friendly crew, burgers made your way, and a heap of peanut oil fried fries cascading into your paper bag. It's messy, satisfying, and proudly unpolished, the kind of meal where grabbing extra napkins isn't optional, it's essential. And they've stuck to that straightforward, no-fuss vibe. No self-serve kiosks, no influencer-friendly interiors, and no slogans plastered on neon signs. Just fresh food in a clean, welcoming space that lets the product do the talking. That consistency is what makes Five Guys stand out. While other chains chase trends or gimmicks, they're doing what they've always done: serving up big, customizable burgers with massive portions and zero shortcuts. And that's exactly what gives them staying power in a market like Australia. Yes, we've got plenty of gourmet burger joints, some of them genuinely excellent, but Five Guys offers something reliable, something you can trust to taste the same every time you walk in, whether it's your first visit or your 50th. So, are they afraid of Australia? In a way, yes, but it's the kind of fear that keeps them sharp. They respect the market and have seen what happens to chains that rush in, and they're not here to make that mistake. That caution, it's what drives them to plan carefully, train properly, protect their brand, and grow only when everything's ready. And honestly, in a fast food world addicted to hype and speed, that kind of restraint is rare. Five Guys isn't cutting corners, chasing trends, or trying to be everything to everyone. They're focused on getting the basics right with quality and consistency at the core. They're not rushing in to dominate, they're building something that can last. But what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below and let's discuss. And if you enjoyed this story, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell so you never miss out on more deep dives like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, stay curious.
That's very interesting. As I said, we definitely don't have them up here in Brisbane, but interesting way of coming into the market. You know, that kind of tiptoeing in. Whereas they said, you know, some people come in and they kind of slam in and they try and force it upon you. You know, and it's just like, no, it's not going to work. But I kind of like that way that they're just kind of testing the market, a couple here and a couple there, and see what happens. But the way he was explaining those burgers, freshly made burgers, freshly made fries, and it's just like, man, I want to try it. I want to try it. It looks bloody delicious. You know, freshly made burger, some great fries, you know, no hype, no, you know, whatever. I really want to try that now, Five Guys. So as he said, you know, we do have some great burger joints here in Brisbane, you know, I can speak of, but, you know, it'd be interesting to get some more. We don't always deal with big chains, but we kind of like those smaller boutique burger shops that we have, that we've gone to, you know, for a long time, you know, the mum and pop stores, as they call them. You know, we love them in Australia. There's heaps of those here. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind trying them. And I like that strategy. Slowly coming in and try it. I'll have to keep my eye open and see if we get one in Brisbane sometime soon, so I can go and try it. So let me know if you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for joining me today. Very interesting video. As I said, I've heard of them before. I haven't obviously tried any. And I didn't know we had some in Melbourne and in Sydney. So that was very interesting. So thank you very much for joining us. Stay safe, and I'll definitely see you in the next reaction video. Oh, you're still here? You want more content? Why don't you check out my Patreon down here? You'll get plenty more content and some exclusive videos over there too. If not, why not check out this one over here?